Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2 Point Conversion on Monday. I don't know what today is. July 18th. July 18th, mid-July. You're so close to the new football season. I can just feel it. It's gonna be bittersweet. Okay, we'll talk about that later. I am your co-host, Gladys L. Tyler, and this is the other co-host, sir.
One of the three, just
One of,
two this week. I
yeah.
usually refer, since I'm the third edition, I like to refer to this show as 2.5 Men, like the TV show. I'm like kind of like that, and I'm the half. I'm like the other one that was just brought
Wait,
in.
be a man though.
I know it doesn't fully fit, but it's just like the 2 point
Three.
conversion. Two, yeah, I'll figure out a better. Three Stooges. I don't know. Yeah,
I get to be Momo.
no,
Yeah,
the
so
the big three. There we go. That's
great.
more respectable. There we go.
So Jay won't be here because he is doing grown up stuff. Our third co-host that Zach was talking about. But we miss him already, and we have a really good show today because we're going to talk about the Scott Fishbowl drafts, and we're going to talk about movie lines, and we might talk about the NBA Summer League. Although I don't know any of the players, although I've watched it, which I consider that a bone. And we're going to talk about NFL because it's almost time. So, what do you want to talk about first? So, let's do movie lines first because I think the Scott Fishbowl might take the most time
Okay. And
because
instead of the NFL part, I was going to say the home run derby is on, and I've been glued to that. We could talk about that as well.
no,
But
I don't want them to let Albert Pujols win.
you said you do want them to?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
this no.
yes,
He,
yes.
Julio, let the
No,
rookie win. He's
no.
been crushing it. He had 32 and 31 in back-to-back rounds.
I
It took
want.
Albert Pujols overtime to get 20.
Yeah, he's like 70 years old too. So it's
That's
like.
what.
All right. So we're gonna name our three favorite movie roles or scenes from a movie because I was thinking about this for some unknown reason when I was supposed to be drafting the Scott Fishbowl, which would explain my team. But I none of my favorite lines from a movie make sense. Like you couldn't say it doesn't. Like one of them does, but most of them are stuff you just say to say it. Like Samuel L. Jackson, "Snakes on a Plane." Oh my god.
I
Oh,
wonder which quote that is.
snakes on this motherfucking plane. Because who has snakes on a plane? First of all, that is like the craziest thing ever. It just doesn't make sense. And that is like my number three favorite movie line. I just, and full disclosure, I've never seen the movie.
Same. But isn't it, you think about it, we critique so many movies, whether they're good or bad, and that was a fairly well-known film. Isn't it crazy that they there was millions of dollars put into a movie with big actors like Samuel L. Jackson about the principle of snakes being all over a plane? Like,
It's the greatest line ever. Hey, Gator, it's okay if it's a joke. It's his like last year. He's 70 years old. Whose Rod has been crushing it? He
J.
has.
Rod, Julio, J.
Whatever.
J. Rod the God. That's my
Let them
fan.
win this thing.
J-Rod the God is my fantasy baseball team name. I've had him on my dynasty team for 2 years. I'm loving the home run derby. If only I
I
got fantasy points for it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he is crushing it. Okay, but still, I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I get the nostalgia. I mean, it's nice to see him in it,
Yeah,
but
right.
I
Okay,
think
what's
that's enough.
what's your number three movie line?
So, have you heard so there's a Jay-Z Kanye West song the where they sample it. It's a Blades of Glory quote. Uh you don't
Sorry.
or he's I forget what the opening part. He's like no one knows what it means. He's like he's like no one knows what it means, but it's provocative. It gets the people going. And I always love that. It's so stupid. I mean, all of my quotes, I'll be honest, are from comedies, and they're all
Blades of Glory.
oh, I mean, do you watch any of those? Have you seen that?
I cannot watch Will Ferrell in a complete movie.
Oh,
I think he's funny. I think he's funny in
oh,
short stints, but in a whole movie, I'm like, seriously, that's ridiculous. He's ridiculous in a whole movie. I
you attack me about Julio, you attack me about Will Ferrell. I mean, do you wanna just ruin all my hopes and dreams
he has
tonight?
the best memes though. He has the best memes, but the whole I he's just it's like watching I don't know. It's like watching I don't even know. I'm
I
like
think
watching it, and I'm not going like Step Brothers. Was that was a movie, right?
yeah, 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 that's Will Ferrell and then,
Yeah, that guy from Chicago, Mr.
yeah.
Something. Um, I don't I guess I just don't get his the humor.
I
I don't
I
understand
think
it.
that applies to what I was going to say where, I think we all have just such different types of
Yeah,
senses of humor, where some people, want a very, like for me, what's the show called? Big Bang Theory.
right?
I love sitcoms. I think that's the dumbest show. Like, I have a hard time disliking a sitcom. And I mean, I'm a nerd in my own right with my fantasy stuff, but oh, I like, people find that one funny, and it drives me crazy. I think
What's
we all have a very Wait, what's up?
what do you think is your favorite? What do you think is your funniest sitcom?
Funniest is tough. I'm a big Parks and Rec fan. Leslie Knope for president. Still going to believe that. Now and then, have you seen Psych?
Mhm.
Okay, the Psych is my all-time favorite. Parks and Rec is a close number 2, but I'm a big Psych fan.
I never, ever, ever got into Parks and Rec, but I've watched Psych. I've binged Psych like twice. My
Oh,
sister and I like say we can say lines from Psych and tell you what episode it's from. It's I love it, but Parks and Rec, no. Parks and Rec in The Office, no, I can't.
have have you how much of Parks and Rec have you watched?
Like the first season, like the first 3 shows.
Okay, this is the advice I give to everyone because I watched it like 2 different times a few years ago. I saw it on my Netflix trying to promote it for me. I would give it a chance because I wanted it a new sitcom, and
Right,
first 1, 2, maybe 3 episodes, I'm like, "Oh, the show sucks. Like, why is this a top 10, show on here? This is brutal."
time.
Well,
Yeah,
I finally pushed through the first couple, just gave it more of a chance, just and this is what I did with my girlfriend, and I tell everyone to do now. Just start with season 2, episode 1. Start there, watch a couple there, you'll get hooked, and then you'll wanna understand the story, and then you'll just kinda rip through season 1, and it gets good after season 1. It's a slow build because there's a lot of background stuff, and I mean, I've listened to podcasts as well talking about what they're trying to do, and they're really trying to set up all these in-depth layers of story to the
right,
characters, and they're trying to kind of figure out how they wanted to do it because so many of the characters changed based on how the actors and actresses presented the character. Like Chris Pratt's character was supposed to be out, I believe, after season 1 or season 2,
I'm not a big
and
so that could be part of the problem too. I'm sorry.
well,
I'm sorry, I'm like blowing up all your
hey, it's fine.
okay, we're gonna go stop fishbowl.
You're ready to talk about it.
I'm ready to talk about Scott Fishbowl. One thing, okay, here's the thing. Like the you, where were you drafting? What number did you draft in?
11.
Did you pick 11, or
Like,
did you
did I choose that draft slot?
choose that draft spot?
Yeah, so we did a 100-yard dash, and for once, I didn't suck in one of those, that little I would rather do a literal 100-yard dash against all the people in my league for draft spot. I would have a better chance because I swear I always finish bottom 2. For once, I didn't, though. I picked 3rd. First guy took 109, second guy took 112, and
Uh,
those are kinda my top 2,
right,
and I was thinking about 106, something like that, but I did about 30 mocks prior to and you gotta remember I drafted a week before, everyone else did,
oh,
so
that's
I did 30 in an even shorter period of time, but I looked through all of them, and I noticed most consistently the result I liked, and I know mocks don't really mean that much,
right,
but what I identified was the 111 slot was really treating me the best, where I was getting a lot of guys at different positions that I liked, and with all the research I did on the scoring format, I was like, "All right, I'm taking 111 because I want that quick turn." What about
So
you? What were you?
I picked 2. That's I picked 2. Like, I don't like drafting 1, and last year I drafted 12 or 11.
Okay.
Last year I picked the end, and the first year like, I've only done it 3 years. And the first year I picked the middle, like 6, I think, or 8. I think I picked 6 or 8. So I wanted to go all over the place. So this year I picked 2, and I will never pick that high again because the 3rd round reverse gets me every time. Like, I don't even know why. It's like if you think about it, it's kind of logical, I guess, maybe. But so the poll we set up, or the poll I set up, like,
Yep.
who's the first? It wasn't a complete poll because I think that it mattered where you drafted. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I looked at a couple of the guys that like put up there. Oh, this is my draft. This is where this. I drafted in Scott Fishbowl, and a lot of the people that had like the first 4 picks were quarterback, and it was quarterback heavy. It was like 61% picked quarterbacks as their first pick, which I was surprised, but that's neither here nor there. But I think that if you were in the first like 1 through 6, you're picking quarterbacks. If you're on the back end, like, I don't remember what I drafted last year because I barely can remember what I drafted in the Scott Fishbowl this year, but I'm almost positive I picked a tight end. Do you know what the
Okay.
tight end premium league?
Yeah.
Because so, but our my I was in the Denver draft, and
Okay.
our draft didn't didn't go like that. Like, there were runs on quarterbacks. It was more like a run kind of thing. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't and the Scott Fishbowl, I don't understand why a tight end wasn't a higher. It was like the 4th highest. Like, it was the last of a first pick.
Yeah.
To me, that's like crazy.
I
My
mean,
second pick was a tight end.
when was the first tight end taken in your league?
It was Kelsey. He was taken, I think, around 8 or 9.
Okay, so he went in the first though. Now the first tight end in mine went at 112, and I was 111. I let Kelsey slide by,
Who
but
did you pick? Who was your first pick?
I took Brady at 111. My
Okay.
draft surprised me in the first round because all the research I did, I had 8 to 10 QBs that I felt should be going in round one.
Mhm.
Just with how high of a ceiling there is and how many like the elite quarterbacks, you need a Cooper Cup last year where it's a ridiculous season or a JT last year where it's an absurd like both of those were almost record years.
Mhm.
You need those to even compete with the top QBs that are efficient, have a high volume of touchdowns, high
Right.
pass attempt volume where they're still not throwing too many incompletions and not throwing a lot of interceptions. I I just was so aggressive on QB, and it was funny. I wanted Tom Brady, and
Okay.
had my eye on Dak as well, but there was 4 QBs that wasn't expecting to be available at my slot. It was Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
I was thinking 2 of those 4 would be gone before it was my pick,
Right.
and I had all 4 at 111, so I said, "Okay, I know I want Tom Brady, and I'm content with any of the 3 out of that 4 not Tom. I'm not married to one, right? Between Murray, Hurts, and Prescott. I'm not married to one of them.
Right.
And hey, 112, he's got the turn and it's back to me. I'll let him pick 2 of those 3 because I'm sure he's gonna go back-to-back quarterbacks, and then I'll take whichever one's left over. He went Kelsey Andrews, and then at 202, I had the same decision, like, "Oh, which one do I want?" And I ended up with, yeah, Brady and Prescott, and according to the Spike Week ADP, Prescott's 10th and Brady's 11th, so I
Um,
got good value there.
I like in the Scott Fishbowl League, I like Prescott more than I like Brady. But your guy at 12 took back-to-back tight ends.
Yeah, and he
Ball
almost
That's a ballsy move. I like it. I like it.
yeah, he
I mean,
went high risk with his whole team. Oh, are you
his
kidding me? My cat is sitting on my mouse right now. She just She was sitting next to my hand, and then she just kind of flopped over and laid down.
She's like, "I'm over this." I I, uh, I don't know, I like that's a ballsy move. And what's the rest of his team? Do you know?
I can pull it up. Here, let's see. I'll pull up
Okay,
my league right now. But no, he waited a while on QB.
okay.
It was weird because John McGlynn, he has the commissioner evaluation podcast. He had me on last week, and he was the guy that was kind of in charge of setting up the Chicago live draft.
Uh-huh.
So I was most concerned about him sniping me out of our 3 live drafts, and of course, we were side by side, and I'm like, "Oh, great." Well, we essentially never even were considering the same guys.
Would yeah.
The whole time, it wasn't like we were even looking at the same people. The only time potentially was, he took Jamar Chase at 301,
Hmm.
and which is good value on Jamar Chase there. But you know who that left me at 302? Kyle Pitts, and he considered going 3 tight ends in a row. I'm glad he didn't because then I could neglect a second tight end for a bit
Right?
because I would just wanted a top tier one. But no, yeah, he went Kelsey, Andrews, uh, his 2 quarterbacks. He took Jared Goff in the 6th, Zach Wilson in the 10th, and Trubisky in the 11th, which Zach Wilson at 10-12 is, I believe, if not the furthest he's gone in a draft, it's one of the furthest. I'll check right now. Tell me about your team though. What's it looking like for you?
That's a good question. I I so wait a minute. You think Zach Wilson is a good pick for the Scott Fish Bowl? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, I love the Mormon Mahomes as I like to call him, or the MILF Hunter as I like to call him more recently.
Uh,
But you know you've heard that whole story, I'm sure.
12 years old. I can't imagine a grown woman wanting to have sex.
Hey,
He looks
it's
like 12.
let's not question it. It's just entertainment. Okay.
And he looks like a Ken doll. Like I
He
ugh.
looks like he would knock on my door in a suit with his bike laying on my sidewalk asking to if I have 10 minutes of his time.
Um, so uh I actually like my team, but I went in the Scott Fish Bowl. I went for guys that have high ceilings, in my opinion, but also could have low floors. Because if you go chalk in a tournament that has like 3,000 people, it's not going to help you. It's like playing DFS. It's like playing a GPP in DFS. You're not gonna excel, in my opinion. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
my. So I have a like I was looking at it yesterday or today, and um I have like a lot of Arizona players. I'm not sure why that happened. Oh, Arizona running backs, like because I don't have confidence in James Conner making it through the season.
Hey, that's reasonable. Neither
Yeah,
do I.
yeah, exactly. Burrow was my first pick, and then
Okay.
Mark Andrews was my second pick when it came back, and then we did that reversal thing,
Yeah.
and it all went to hell. But I wanted David Montgomery badly, and I got him.
I
And
don't hate that pick though, especially with the
yeah,
limited options. I mean, I like Komet a lot, but I like Mooney, but I'm not confident in what Fields is.
right.
And Montgomery's just kind of disrespected relative to what he actually contributes each year. I still don't understand that. Why is he
I don't know.
hated so much?
He's so good. And then so my tight ends were Mark Andrews, Dawson Knox, uh, and the rookie from Denver, who I think by midseason is gonna just like
Oh, Dulcich?
yeah, kill
I
it.
took I
Plus,
took him as well. He was my backup.
he's your backup.
Yeah, I because I got Pitts in the 3rd, and then I just took Dulcich in the 20th and Trotman in the 21st.
Yeah, I mean, um, my quarterbacks, Goff, not Goff. Yeah, Jared Goff. Joe, he was a later pick. Joe Burrow, Trubisky, and then I picked Desmond Ritter. I really, really hope he gets on the field. I think he's going to do really great things.
What round did he take him?
Oh, it was, oof. um, we had 22 rounds. I took him like 19, I think.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, it was
still
really,
just a flyer. Yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like so. Okay, this is how I I picked. I had like 9 quarterbacks, so I wanted or who I would take. I knew I was going to get one of. I know I was going to get Burrow. because she said, Jen, whose number one draft was on this spotathon, and she said who her number one pick was. So I was like, oh, then I'm gonna get Pearl because I'm number two. So I was okay with that. And then I kind of waited on wide receivers. Like I took a flyer on wide receivers for I don't know
You're speaking my language here. When
because
did you take your first one? Do you
my first one was Mike Evans, and I took him. He lasted a long time. He lasted to like the sixth round, I think.
That's really let me see, when
Maybe
did
the
he?
fourth. Maybe the fourth.
'Cause
I don't,
he went 4-1 for me.
yeah.
Yeah, or it's funny though, like, Mac Jones, the latest he's gone in any Scott Fishbowl draft is 10-11, which is where I got him, and
You
it
have Mac Jones.
yeah, he's my 3rd QB. I got him 10-11. I don't know why he was there that late, but it's funny because Ritter in my league went in the 15th while he went in the 19th for you. I'm sure Mac Jones went higher,
Oh yeah.
but we flip-flopped where they were more aggressive on the backup and 3rd string guys, but it also didn't help that you had a guy like me who had Brady and Prescott, and some teams only had 1 or I think everyone had 2 QBs, but no, sorry, a couple teams only had 1, and I knew some had questionable QB2s, and I saw Mac there and I said, "Hey, I can get a guy for bye weeks, and I can screw a lot of my opponents out of a more serviceable second QB, so it's a win-win for me." And I like doing that. I mean, it's not a very, appreciated thing by your opponents, but it's smart, I think,
Hmm.
limiting what they can do. I took my first wide receiver, by the way, 8-11. That was my first one.
Who would you take?
Devonta Smith, and then I took Michael Thomas, and then at 9-2, I took Alan Lazard at 11-2, Michael Gallup at 12-11, and Jacoby Myers 13-2, and then a few flyers late.
Kobe Myers lasted to the 13th round for you.
Yep, I was looking at him at the 11th where I took Lazard. It was between Lazard, Gallup, and Myers. But what's funny, people were just ignoring. We had a
I
QB taken 6-8. Not another one was taken till 10-6. And then I took Mac Jones, and the final pick of the live draft was Zach Wilson. Then he took Trubisky at 11-1 to start the slow draft. I'm looking at Lazard, Gallup, Myers. I take Lazard, but since a few teams had questionable second QBs, they wanted to address that depth, and I think they were playing chicken, assuming those QBs would keep falling since teams like me, have Brady and Prescott. Well, the next 5 picks after I take Lazard are all quarterbacks: Daniel Jones, Davis Mills, Baker, Deshaun, Mariota. So we had 8 QBs go in the total of 9 picks, and it was great because I just got to watch some panic set in, and oh, I was trying to be aggressive in making other people panic at positions. So then when I needed wide receiver and I knew it was deep, other teams were trying to get more running backs or
made
more quarterbacks.
people panic. Like I don't. So I when I draft in any draft, but Scott Fishbowl, our Writers League draft, I don't look at other people's board. Like I it doesn't like it, I can't do anything about it. Once they draft someone, like I look on see the players that I have if they're gone, but I couldn't tell you who took them. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
I don't want to get. I'm one of those persons that I think would get stuck in a run. Like if I saw in a tight end premium league, if I saw tight ends going, I'd be like, oh my god, it has to come back to me. I have to get a tight end. But if I just focus on the players that I want, then it's so much easier for me. Which is it's also kind of infuriating because so the Denver draft was supposed to be a slow draft, but they wanted to do it a live draft. So like for the first half, it was live for 10 of them, and so it went quick. And I don't know. When it comes to me, I have players listed, and if they're there, I'm going to pick them. So I don't understand people taking like 4 hours to make a pick. I just
yeah.
it drives
I
me.
think it's more schedule permitting, different obligations. That has to be my assumption with it. I mean,
Well, in the Scott Fishbowl, yeah. Plus, you have
yeah,
international players, so you're working
yeah.
at like different time
But
zones.
but still, I mean, you should just know who you want. For me, I
Well,
mean, I
uh,
didn't expect to have Mac Jones,
right?
but I knew he shouldn't have been available at 10, 11. And I
Yeah.
know you don't necessarily look at your opponent's teams, but for me, the guy that was picking at 110, I knew he had Kyler Murray, and that was his only quarterback. And so I was like, "Oh, cool, you didn't take him at 10-10? Awesome. Yeah, I'll take him. Thank you." And then he has Daniel Jones and Jimmy G.
Ooh,
And, if Jimmy G doesn't,
yeah,
get traded,
yeah,
good luck with right
Daniel.
because I'm not against Daniel Jones in some formats, but not for this.
Not
That's too
yeah,
and I
that's fine.
was
Zach Wilson, why there's no way. Like his completion percentage is in the high 50s at
yep.
best.
I
I
was
I don't
yes.
understand.
I was
Yeah.
telling someone about this though, like, it was, Courtney Love Tractor.
Mhm.
She was looking at a 3rd QB, and she had, I believe it was Burrow and, Cousins, and I told her, "Hey," no, maybe it was Josh Allen or Cousins, either way, 2 really good QBs, and she was looking at Mariota or someone else for a potential 3rd QB for the 2 bye weeks.
Right?
I told her, "Look, there's a lot better, more serviceable guys at other positions that you need more depth at. Take them, because while it sounds nice having a 3rd QB for the upside of, them getting 30 points, it's it's like, we talk about the high ceiling, low floor for players in general. The
Right.
quarterbacks are the biggest high ceiling, low floor
Right.
because essentially every other position can't get you negative points. But say, like, I was looking at Mariota to see who the Falcons played on the bye week of one of her guys, and he was playing against the Bengals, and I assume Bengals, Falcons. Bengals are putting up a lot of points quick. Falcons are down and they need to score. So in normal fantasy logic, you're like, oh, cool. That means he's throwing the ball more. But you got to remember, he's not necessarily efficient or accurate. He's
What's the
going
name?
to be fo-
Pretty good.
he's going to be forcing the ball more because they're losing, and that means more incompletions, more interceptions. And I gave her the example. Say Mariota goes 24 for 50, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He finishes with 0 points.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you could have whatever wide receiver you take in round 11 where Mariota goes, he could get 2, he could get 18, but, uh, I'll take 2 over 0, or, I'll take the happy medium of that wide receiver rather than the scary low downside of what Mariota could do to my team.
I don't know if it was the Scott Fishbowl or the Capitalist League I was playing in last year, but in playoffs that I don't remember who the quarterback was that I played, but he ended up with negative points. He had negative who was it Kirk Cousins? It may have been Kirk Cousins. And I don't remember what game it was. I just remember looking at the thing because I played two quarterbacks and one of them had negative points. And I was like, this sucks. So I was knocked, I was obviously knocked out because my,
Yeah.
my team sucked. But I think that so last year, which I was in the Bob Marley League. So right there, it should tell you that we were like one of the slowest. We were one of the slowest. I think we were like third from the last to finish in our slow draft. But there was um there was one person who kept timing out, and I think the person was like a chef or something in their schedule, but they didn't do a queue, so they were waiting to see what was happening. That is the person that made it to the playoffs out of our league. I was like,
Of
great,
course.
of course.
Now, the Bob Marley League, is that just the nickname for the Denver live draft this year?
No, no, no.
Or not, you see what I did there,
I
though?
all the people in the which most of the people in the Denver live draft, most people in the Denver draft that I know of are straight edge. Like, I don't think any of them smoke or anything. And I was like,
We
they just,
know we
yeah,
know different people in Colorado then. I mean,
yeah,
I lived out there and
I don't know these people. They're just in the
yeah.
draft. They're just in the draft with me. And I was like, 'Cause when they wanted to do it live, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna do it from my couch. I'll be sitting here. You guys just, I'll be on the computer and I can draft with you, but no, I don't. Plus, it was friggin' 99 degrees. Ugh,
Oh, and was it one of the outdoor bars too?
or bars. Yeah, like,
No,
no,
thank you.
my dog would die because I would take my dog and
Oh,
he would die. He's like a big black mastiff Great Dane, and
yeah.
he'd be like, "You suck. I hate you. I'm going to die right now." So, yeah,
No,
but I don't the Scott I think that the people that are going to do well in the Scott Fish Bowl are those that did not go chalk. Do you know what I
I
mean?
like
Like,
to think I did that.
that
I
you didn't
mean,
go chalk?
no, I think I got a lot of I got a lot of attention, like, there was a show that someone broke down my team and just raved about it. I don't even remember what his name was, but someone in my Pick 11 chat was like, "Hey, are you watching blah 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 live?" And I was like, "No, who's that?" And they put a link in there, and he was just breaking down my team, just telling me sweet nothings about my draft.
That's
And
nice.
or yeah, I mean, it felt great, but at the same time, I'm like, "Oh, cool, that sounds awesome," but that doesn't mean I'll actually get fantasy points. You know, it's like validation in my picks and how I felt about them, but that doesn't mean I could still lose every game and be last place in the Scott Fish Bowl. You know, we're still
Right.
weeks away from football. But no,
I
I mean, I did 2 QBs, a tight end, and then 411 Brees Hall, 5-2 Travis Etienne, 611 Elijah Mitchell, 7-2 AJ Dillon. So 4 running backs in a row. Because I wanted to make a high floor for all of my running backs, and I'm always nervous about at least one running back getting hurt. So rather than, having to play that dangerous game of is Daryl Henderson getting me 8 points because my normal RB2 is hurt, or I'm putting someone that's either a split back guy or a full-time running back one for the team in there? And
right,
then yeah, and then I took, Devonta Smith. I don't know. I Being aggressive on running back just let me pursue all the wide receivers I knew were going to fall and be undervalued. And then I could just the rest of the draft, I got to be aggressive on kickers like I like, and then
I
just bounce around. Like
yeah,
I like Tyler Algier, Brian Robinson, Dolchich, Trotman, Snoop Connor, just guys a lot of rookie running backs late, but there's potential there. Like, I don't know, but if I already have a solid running back core, I wanted to take a shot. And I think people get so caught up in what the wide receivers can do, and I get it's a pass first league for the most part, but there are a lot of weeks where they put up 48 one week, 4 touchdowns, 200 yards, 18 receptions, and it balances out throughout the year. There might be some 28-point weeks, 12, bouncing around, but they also have some real stinkers in there too, right?
right. I mean,
And
that was
it's
exactly someone's year last year.
and
Who's
you
that?
don't s
Like 42. Chase
I
Chase
think it was
Claypool.
Jamar.
Chase
Oh,
Claypool put up 42 points against Cincinnati, maybe, and then didn't have like a double digit fantasy
yeah,
game the rest of the year, like maybe
yeah.
twice. So
Like
it's
And you don't see the top running backs on a team do that.
mm,
A bad week is 8, 10 points
yeah,
because they're still getting probably 60, 70 yards, or even if it's 45, they're usually getting a few dump pass receptions. And that's where most of my flex spots are realistically going to be running backs, but say Lazard or Gallup or Myers are looking good, I can be sliding them in there over one of those guys. But I'd rather go high floor with a higher ceiling, because it's not necessarily the full boom. Because everyone talks about
right,
you have to have this awesome ceiling to win the Scott Fish Bowl, which I get, but you also have to have a certain level of floor to consistently win. Like I'm playing each week, and obviously there's a median involved too, like the league median and
right,
whatnot. But if I'm not, if I score 214 one week and I score 82 the next, I'm 1 and 1. It doesn't matter how much I put up the week prior, you know? And that's where I wanted to go, like, "Oh, I expect at least this much each week, and then hopefully I can get more from some big weeks somewhere each week."
Well, I mean, consistency plays too because part of making the playoffs too is your points. How much points you scored, which
Yeah.
is the only way I made it the one time I was in. I think that I think I looked more towards quarterback and tight ends. But once I got Swift and Montgomery, I was like, okay, I'm good on running backs. I mean, not good, but I didn't really. It didn't stress me out that
Yeah.
didn't have anyone else. I got Patterson, but I'm not really sure how great a year he's going to have this year. But like Tim Patrick and Hunter Renfro were kind of for me guys that are either going to be really big booms. Like I think Patrick is actually going to outpace Judy in that.
Oh, I saw your Judy, what was the article called again on Going for 2 you did? Was it the 3?
Oh, the three wide receivers that are going to disappoint you.
I was happy to see Judy on that list. I was like, "I'm glad someone else has said it," and
I just don't have all the faith in Judy. That he's not good. He's had 2 touchdowns in 2 years, and yeah, he's been hurt, but so is everyone else. I just don't understand the high hype for him. I think he'll do well. I mean, with Russell Wilson, I think he'll amass over 100 targets. I just don't think he's going to have touchdowns, and I think
yeah,
it's going to be Patrick and Cortland Sutton who are going to be the Metcalf and
yeah.
Tyler Lockett in that offense. But
No, I
whatever.
get it.
And then
I like it. I like Tim Patrick a lot, especially for where you're taking him, and
yeah,
that's where I view a lot of these guys. What's the price I'm paying relative to the production? Like Gabriel Davis, I don't think he's a bad wide receiver. Think he'll have a good year, but I also don't wanna buy him at a wide receiver 16 price when that's kind of what I view his if everything goes right, that's what he'll be in my books this year. I don't wanna pay that price to get him. I mean, obviously, he could be higher, but for what I expect,
like you're it's just a game. Like I got Jacoby Myers late, and I was happy to get him because
he's
I just
undervalued.
yeah, if Mac Jones
Yeah,
is going, it's going to be to Jacoby Myers. And
yeah.
I who else? I got someone else late that I really, really was surprised was still on the board. Maybe it was Goff because in this league, I don't care that Goff sucks. I care that he has a really good completion percentage and he has some weapons that he can throw to this year. So
He does. Yeah,
he'll get some
just
yards after the catch. He'll get that. He can own that. And I just I think that what people miss out on most is looking at how things are scored or discounting like the tight end premium or the points you're going to get taken away if you draft Jameis Winston, for instance, because you're going to end up with like 0 points in multiple weeks. You just have to count on that. He's just not going to throw. He's just not going to be that clean. He'll get you, the touchdowns, and if you're in a normal league, that's great. But if you're a league that's taking 4 points off, are you taking a picture of your cat?
Yep, I'm sending it to you. I'm listening as well, but I just knew
Oh,
you'd
that's
appreciate this. She's pushed everything on my desk apart, and now she's laying her head right on the pad of my keyboard. This is her desk, and I'm just in her space right now.
Did you there's a meme that I sent to Foss on his birthday. I think it was Foss. Oh no, it wasn't me. It may have been Troy King, where there's a cat and it's like happy birthday and then just like throws the cake away. Because that's what cats do. Because
Yep.
cats
No,
suck.
that's oh, that's uncalled for. I mean, she's
Oh
not the sweetest though, so you're not necessarily wrong. I can't
no,
argue with
my
that.
two cats were like I had the two cats and the two dogs, and they terrorized the dogs. And the dogs outweighed them by like 110 pounds easily. And Freedom,
That's
the calico was like, I hate you and you stay away from me. And both dogs would just like tiptoe around her. Yeah,
that's how my she runs the house. I mean, when my dog was out here, it was it was her rules or yeah, her way or the highway. And it
exactly.
didn't matter what else you wanted to do.
And the dog's
Um,
like, okay, that's fine. All right,
but
your
no,
number
let's
3 quote. I need it.
my movie quote.
The number you gave me number 3, number 2.
The 5 Ds of dodgeball. Do you know what they are?
No, but I know it's another kind of. It's what is who is that guy? It's the guy with the dark hair. Oh my
Vince Vaughn?
no, from Zoolander.
Patches Ben Stiller.
Isn't Ben Stiller in that?
Yeah, yeah, he's like the main
Yeah.
antagonist. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the guy that says the 5 D's of dodgeball. I was like, "Oh, Patches O'Houlihan?" That's just like the character name for like the crazy homeless guy. Oh, no, yeah, the 5 Ds of dodgeball.
All right.
Dodge,
Okay.
duck, dip, dive, and this is important. You have to start with dodge
Right.
because it is also the last one. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Those are the 5 Ds of dodgeball. And who says
Yep.
this in the movie?
Patches O'Houlihan. He's like this.
Just
They
oh,
watch they watch a video of, the guy steals a VHS from his high school about learning the rules of dodgeball, and there's
I
this guy who's a
I think your boy won the home run derby.
no, Juan
No?
Soto won it.
Who won it?
Juan
Oh,
Soto, the guy that doesn't wanna sign an extension with the Nationals and is probably going to be one of the most expensive trade assets in MLB history. He's 23 years old.
they just, like, all love each other then? That's nice. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're no, they got a good community here.
Yeah?
Julio's about to congratulate him as well.
I thought he already did. That's why I thought he won.
Oh, yeah, you might just be ahead of me.
Oh,
No,
okay.
but you'll win it next year, Julio. It's okay. You'll
He's
just win Rookie of the Year this year instead. That's fine.
winning next year. Um,
Yeah.
wait, who does this Julio play for?
He plays for Seattle. He actually was the fastest player in MLB history to have at least 15 or to hit 15 home runs and have 15 stolen bases. It took him 80 games to have both. I think he's close to 20 of each now. I know he's got over 20 stolen bases. But the Mariners, they're on a win streak right now. They've won 12 or 13 in a row entering the All-Star break. They're doing good. And they're a young team.
I can't I don't have the attention span to watch a baseball game. I really don't. I
I
can watch
grew
ugh, I can't. I
I
can't.
grew up in it. I used to play it as a kid. I used to be a pitcher, so I have an appreciation for pitchers duels, but I understand a more casual fan how it's not necessarily sexy or fun to watch a guy just throw the ball back and forth, play catch for 3 hours while no one even touches the
You know,
ball.
I played baseball and softball as a younger when I was younger,
Okay.
club ball, and playing
Yeah.
I can do because it goes by fast when you're playing.
Yeah.
Sit and watch? No, I just don't have the attention span for it. Alright, so, uh, wow, that's a nice chain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, did you see Albert Pujols' chain earlier? He
Uh-huh.
had a s he had a the 600 chain for because
Oh,
he
yeah?
for when he hit 600 home runs. Oh, now I'm seeing the Derby champ one.
Isn't that crazy?
I have a feeling he bought that for himself. That's his boy behind him.
Oh, well, then never
Oh.
mind. Okay, he bought it for him. That's a crazy chain.
I
I
wanna I
I
wanna
wonder how
see him hit a home run now with that on.
that chain on. I'd like to see. Good lord. That's a lot of money right there on that neck.
You should see the amount of money he's about to get once he gets traded. No, because yeah, he's only 23, but he's been a really productive, really, like, MVP. He's been an MVP candidate or in that tier for a few years now, and he doesn't wanna sign an extension with the Nationals because 'cause they're not in necessarily a great spot, so they're going to trade him, and he is going to get a lot of money and a
Are the
lot of,
contracts guaranteed? Is it guaranteed? Oh, yeah.
um
What's his face is making money still.
oh, yeah. I think they're guaranteed. I don't remember the formality aspect because I believe the only one that's truly fully guaranteed is the NBA outside of their two-way contracts. The MLB might be to a
Wait,
point.
oh, who's the guy that played for New York they're still paying him, like, every year?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
this
I forgot his
I forgot his name, but I know that every year my guys from New York always say, "Oh, it's what's
yep,
his
every year it's like, "Oh, yeah, he made another 1,000,000 because 'cause they're paying him until,
not doing any."
uh, year
And
2,200. He'll not,
okay, I
um,
have to say that I'm really sorry I don't have my remote because I really, really do not like Brian Kelly
who's
at all,
Brian Kelly?
uh, the coach. The
Oh.
Oh, we've switched. I think I'm way ahead of you on the feed.
Oh, yeah, the Yankee Stadium thing?
Uh, no, they're doing SEC football now.
Oh. Oh, you're on a different I'm on okay, I
Oh,
gotcha. I'm closing out anyway, all I wanted to see was, I
what
wanted to see Julio win, and that didn't happen, so we're done here.
Yeah, no, I'm on, like, I'm on ESPN2, I guess,
Oh,
and so they're
okay.
doing SEC football, which, again, not a fan, but, really not a fan of Kelly, so
Oh,
but I SEC's ugh, yeah. Anyway, second one, second line, second favorite movie.
yes.
Okay, so it's the Jaws line, you're gonna need a bigger boat. Like, that line you can use almost anywhere. So that is one of the lines I think, like, I say it at least once a month to someone for no reason because it's a great line.
It
And
is.
it's really sad that people don't understand that it's from Jaws. I've said it to people and they don't know that it's from Jaws. I'm like, how is that possible? That's like the greatest line ever. When the fish it's
I
like it's a good movie. It's a great movie.
That movie haunted me as a kid. I should not have seen that the first time when I did. I still remember it. I mean, I was 6 years old. I lived up in Huh?
Did you live near water?
So, you'll appreciate this. I was 6 years old, and it was a summer trip, went with my best friend and his family. They had a houseboat on and yeah, we lived in Wisconsin, but they
Okay.
had a houseboat, went with them out on that. We're in the middle of Lake Superior, and his older brother and his buddies were like, "Oh, let's watch Jaws." And I'm 6 and I'm watching this like,
Dun, dun.
"Holy shit, is this shark real? Are there sharks in this?" Like, I mean, and I remember we did tubing the next day, the
Yeah.
speedboat, and they were so impressed with how well the six-year-old did, like, squeezing on, but that's because I was holding for dear life thinking that if I let go, Jaws was gonna swoop up and snatch my ass.
Dun, dun.
So, oh, that
It's
I
a
could have waited a couple years or at least not while I was on a houseboat at 2 AM to watch that for the first time.
it's a great movie. I don't care. All right, your number one movie quote.
So, my number 1 movie quote is it bad that I haven't seen the movie?
No, like I
Okay.
said, I haven't seen Snakes on a Plane.
I'm the captain now. The It's applicable in so many situations where I'm like, "Yep, that's it. That's the one."
You say that to people?
I usually drop the GIF in, like, league chats or something, or, yeah, that kinda stuff where I'm
That's
taking over the charge of something, it's like, "Nope, nope, I'm the captain." Uh,
uh,
it
the quote from Usual Suspects, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist."
Ooh,
I love that. I love that movie. Like, The Usual Suspects is probably one of my favorite, like, top 4 movies, and it has a
yeah.
lot of great quotes, but and unfortunately, Kevin Spacey turned out to be a shit, but still, he's a really good actor, and that quote, the way he does it, and it's so applicable, is, like, one of my favorite quotes ever.
Have you seen House of Cards?
I yeah, I saw the first how many seasons did it go, 5?
6.
I saw the
The f
first 4 seasons. Like,
the
a
f
friend actually gave me his Netflix account so I could see it because he was like, "This is the greatest," and he was really good in there, and so is Robin Wright Penn. I mean, she's just
Yeah.
awesome, but
Yeah, no, it's a great series. I mean, they did a lot of great actors, actresses in there. I mean, I got into it late, and then I got hooked, and I watched them all right before they were going to come out with season 6, and it was in production. And
right,
that's when all the Kevin Spacey stuff happened, and then they just killed him off. And of course, was I don't wanna say I was rooting for his character. They did a good job of, that it's
yeah.
sometimes a bad guy, they do bad things, but at the same time, you don't want them to just die off, like, you're curious to see what happens. That's where I was at with him, and then all that happened, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't need to see him anymore." Like, I'm glad they just
Which is sad because, like, he had that stretch there where he had, what, American Beauty, Usual Suspects. He had, like, 4 great movies, like, right in a row,
Yeah,
and you have to learn that in each of those movies, Offset, he was, like, such a dick, and it's like, ugh. This is why you should never meet your heroes. This is why social media sucks. I mean, you should know these people are now. Do I want to know that? I don't know. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
a big film noir person, and I love, love, love. Like I had every Cary Grant movie because I love Cary. I love the older actors. Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn.
The way you talk about Cary Grant, you sound, like me with Will Ferrell.
But I don't wanna know that Cary I don't I'm not saying that he is, 'cause I've never heard anything, but I don't
Yeah.
wanna know if he was like a dick, because I love his movies so much.
No, I get that. I mean, there's certain things you can learn about people that
Yeah, I
they
don't
can
need to.
kind of I mean, think about it this way. I'm a Packer fan that grew up with Brett Favre. Like, I was born in '95 when he was in and I mean, he's my childhood hero. I know he was flawed in a lot of ways, but,
Right.
like, for me, it was the on the field stuff. Because I was a kid, it's like not like I'm paying attention to his drug addiction or and I'm more cognizant of all of it by the time he's sending pictures of things to New York journalists, but, I mean, I wasn't thrilled about that,
Yeah, why
but
do that?
yeah, I don't even get me started. I'm still just upset with him. I'm like the concerned parent, like, "Brett, why? Like, sit
Why?
down. Let's have a talk.
Yeah,
What's going through your mind where you think this is okay?"
yeah, someone wants to see that, especially at a like, you open a gift and there's what is why?
Yeah.
Why? Do you think that's your most attractive feature? Because if that's what the if that's
No.
what's happening, then that's really
That whoever told you that lied to
something. Exactly. So,
Um,
let's start with that, and then
no. I don't I mean, and what's funny too is there's a lot of things in movies because when I was looking at quotes, I was trying to think of what are things that I some of the most prominent things for me in movies are actually like props. So, for example, Space Jam. Space
okay,
Jam was my
first one,
favorite.
last one.
Oh, I mean,
The
I
original?
liked yeah, oh yeah. I actually liked the second one. It was a lot better than I thought it was.
Okay.
And or I thought it would be, I should s but I that first one, that's what got me hooked. I mean, I'm a Bucks fan. I grew up hating the Bulls. I mean, I still hate the Bulls. Screw the Bulls. Um, but I loved that movie so much, and I mean, I have a water bottle in my cabinet of the one of the one where, Bugs Bunny says, like, Michael's special drink or something,
Uh-huh.
but I always love that because it's and I mean, I just think it's a great kind of underlying message of, they don't have any confidence, they don't believe in themselves, they think they're going to lose, they think they don't have a chance, and they drink this
I
thing.
special drink.
Yeah, they think it has these special powers where they can play like it's nothing different except, like something written on the bottle saying that it is, but by they get that confidence, and it's like and they believe in themselves and they start playing better, and I think that applies to a lot of things with just, the deeper meaning, believing in yourself goes a long way towards getting the outcomes you want,
But
and
here's the thing, I don't watch like, I've seen Space Jam because I don't really consider it a sports movie because it's a cartoon.
oh, how dare you? That's the best sports movie.
I don't watch sports movies. I
Oh,
can't
okay.
because in I've seen Brian's song, the original Brian song,
Yeah,
and that was the last sports movie I've ever watched because
okay.
every sports movie, they just want you to start crying. It's like every rom-com. You know what's gonna happen. You know that, they're gonna, like, serendipity. They're gonna find each other eventually, or the movie wouldn't be called Serendipity A, and it would be a really shitty rom-com if they didn't B. So I can't watch sports movies. I haven't seen what's the Notre Dame one?
Yeah. Oh, Rudy?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
why? Because you know how it's gonna end. And
yeah.
plus, I heard he didn't even say that. I heard that that wasn't even really a quote that he said.
No, I mean, it's tough with a lot of those because for example, Disney just came out with a movie about Giannis. It's
Oh, no,
on you
I
watched it?
no, I did no, I don't
I
watch
would I mean, I think from a standpoint of people that don't know Giannis's story or aren't even if you're not into basketball, that's not necessarily a bad film to watch
I know
because
the story. because I just read about Giannis because I like Giannis because I think he's that incredible athlete who's like just really funny too. Like he says the craziest things, and sometimes I'm like, do you realize that that's crazy and funny, or you just think that you're saying something normal?
You can just keep talking about the Bucks. I've got the banner up behind me. I've got the other banner. I've got oh here. I've
Oh no.
got my from from Giannis's rookie year. We were because I've been a Bucks fan my whole life. I bought this hat from his rookie class when he was drafted. We went 15-67. We were the worst team in the league, but I went $80 and I was the first row behind the Bucks bench in Utah because I lived in Colorado at the time. And
Okay.
I'd go to the Utah and Denver game every year. I would just drive over on my own, buy a cheap ticket, and sit close because, well, they sucked. So no one went. There was no visiting fans. It was just me and like two other people, two sad people. But I managed to get autographs of 11 players, and I got
Nice.
I got Giannis right here, and I got Chris Middleton somewhere else. I think yeah, Kamit is down here. But I mean, it's great to see them now because Chris was a second round pick, G League player in Detroit the year prior, and there was no expectations. Giannis was this 15th overall pick, just this scrawny guy from Greece that looked like he played in a B league, yeah, B league in Greece. You know, it,
Yeah.
and no, I love his story though, and it's just great because I'm. But on the subject of sports movies, where you're wondering like what's true or not, I have followed the Giannis story passionately since he was drafted. Like I did all that research then before it was commonly known, and there was a book about him, and he was a champion and this and that. But he, they, they struggled. Like it's definitely a cool success story, and it's cool to see how close he is with his family, and it's you understand why too when they went through all the hardship they did. I mean, Greece was notoriously a racist community where they viewed all black people and they were African immigrants, but they viewed them as even if they got citizenship, you weren't part of our community, you know?
Right.
And in the movie, they show it as well where the dad keeps trying to become a Greek citizen and they're like we can't accept these papers until you get a full-time job that's on a paycheck, and then he comes back again with that, and they're like, well, you actually need this isn't a real job. Like you need a job with skill, and they just find any way to reject them. But of course, once Giannis gets drafted, the Bucks, their owner is the senator. They do all this work to help get them citizenship.
Smart guy. Yeah.
Huh?
That's once the once they hit the peak or they hit what people think are the peak or they get that notoriety. Oh, we've always loved him. He's always been our guy. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um, First, I want to say, wait, did you give me your number one, right?
Yeah.
Did I call your number one? No,
I'm the captain now.
that's your number one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of sitcom ones too. That's the other part. A lot of the stuff I quote. I mean, have you seen The League? Does that count as a sports?
That No, I watched the league.
Okay. I
I,
love that. I mean, I quote that probably more than anything else.
and the
Um,
first one I saw was the one where JJ Watt was drafting, and he's shouting out
yeah, the Vegas one.
the greatest one ever. This is the greatest show ever. And then it like quit soon after. So yeah. But yeah, I the league doesn't count as a sports. It doesn't count.
Okay.
No.
It's tough to critique too, like the draft day. You're like, "Oh, what team would make that trade?" Like that's we see some teams make terrible trades, but that's just ridiculous. Come on now. I mean,
Yeah, I
uh,
like the league. I like uh, I mean I could psych, I'm on board with you at psych. I think because they make fun of themselves and then they make fun of pop culture and they like
yeah,
throw little pop culture things in there and I love that
and
about
I yeah, and I love how like his whole gimmick, and ironically enough, the main actor for it, I believe, is it James Rode Rodriguez?
yeah.
He is a frequent flyer of the Scott Fish Bowl,
Oh, yeah?
He's been in it for a few years now, I learned. Yeah, and,
What? I
yeah, he
we had
was
many celebrities in my draft, which
yeah,
we did, I'm sorry if you guys are listening, the Denver guys, but I mean, we had a lot of analysts, but we didn't have any celebrities, and then I'm, like, looking through and Tom Everett's in one of the drafts, and I'm like, "What? Why
yeah.
aren't there are Denver people, celebrities we coulda had." I mean, Marcus Grant,
Where's Peyton Manning?
yeah,
Um,
Peyton could have
I
drafted.
For the Chicago live draft, I was like he mentioned some big name people, and we had a few big name journalists there, but I was like "Please tell me it's Jay Cutler." Like, even though I hate the Bears, I just love Jay. He's more of like a for the culture kinda guy rather than like, the actual talent.
Was he
Huh?
there? He was
No,
oh.
that was just a dream thing.
Yeah,
But,
he had some pretty heavy names. He pulls in some pretty heavy names, but they're usually like the Los Angeles, of course. The Los Angeles draft had like some star. You know who I'm really amazed by, and this is really weird. His son, like Scott's
oh,
son, uh, like last year, he was like pulling names of people that you should pick every like. He doesn't let him do it. Like a couple times, I wanted him on the show that we were doing last year, and he's like, "He comes on too late. He's asleep and stuff, but I'll get his picks." And that kid's smart. Like he's
I
legit.
love it.
Uh,
As the kid that was in a league full of adults once upon a time, I appreciate it. I mean, I won my first league I was ever in. I was 8 years old, and my grandpa's work league, he his coworkers wanted him to join this money league, and he said, "Sure," and then when he came home, he asked me if I wanted to play and draft for him, and, uh and he would get me some games for my PlayStation 2 if I won it
nice.
with the cash prize, and yeah, that
Is
was,
it Matthew who that is?
uh what?
Who's Matthew Berry Como?
Oh, no, Matthew Berry was in,
Oh,
he's in the Scott Fish Bowl.
I don't tell
You
anyone. I yeah, I'm glad he was though. I mean, I like him. He's funny. Trying to get a few what next year, Jader, Gator, J. um, I'm not. I yeah, Matthew Berry is like no. I mean, I appreciate what he's done. Like, we probably wouldn't be as big in fantasy football if it wasn't for him because I think he
oh,
kind
he
of
deserves a lot of the credit for that.
that. But as far as his takes go, Where was Matthew Berry? Was he in the LA one?
I I don't even know which one. I didn't follow it too closely, but I mean, props to Scott Fish. I mean, it's such a great league. This is my first year in it, and it's just so crazy. If like forget the celebrities. I mean,
3,000 teams.
yeah, it's so much work that he puts in, and it's a charity league. It's for a great cause. Like I'm just
Ridiculous.
glad I'm just glad I can be a part of it. Like it's such a fun community.
3,000. I'm like, I was uh I was up late listening to the Podathon one. And it was like our time, my time. So mountain time, it was probably like 2 o'clock or something. So
Yeah,
it was they had guys from overseas like England or Scotland. And there was just one guy on and he's with it was a group. So they're with fantasy something. Could not understand a word he was saying, but it didn't matter because it was so great. Because I'm like, this guy is playing fantasy football and he's talking about being in the fantasy football league and he's on the podathon. It's like, and he's what draft was Barry and Dame overboard. Um, and it's like uh, he gets all these people together and they're like different time zones and different like likes and yeah, it's just amazing to me. It's
yeah.
amazing
I mean,
that he
I was just grateful for all the people. Like my live draft was so much fun. I met a lot of people, like regardless of if they're content creators or fans or like however they signed up. There was just so many people that were good company, having a great time. I got to meet a whole bunch of people and just I've never done a live draft before, but being able to share in that experience and we've got 3 drafts going and like debating about who we value here, and we're watching the other draft boards, but at the same time you're just trying to pick your own team. It was
Wait,
just a
the live
what
drafts had there were multiple live drafts going on at one time?
so we had 36 people, so
Oh,
three divisions, and
nice.
yeah, and that's what was funny about, like, Mac Jones falling to me. I mean, my division 3, we were the one that was going the slowest, and I went over to the guy who was my ride for the day because I knew I was going to be drinking, so I made sure I found a ride some
Very
other way.
choice. Very
I'm always going to do that, and I made sure that or I went over to him and I was like I think it was, 10:01 was up,
uh-huh,
and I was like I had the ADP I made for going for 2 from all of our mocks.
uh-huh.
I had printed that out in a list form, and I was just marking guys off, and I walked up to him, and I just pointed with one of my highlighters. I was like, "I can't believe he's still here." And Mac Jones went in the 5th round in his in draft board too, and
Oh,
he's like, "No, there's no way he's still there," and he, like, ran over to my draft board, and he was looking, and then he was looking at the other teams once he realized he hadn't been taken. He's like, "Oh, he's not going to fall to you." I was like, "Just wait." I was like, "It's about to happen." He just kept falling, and I was doing a heel kick in my head on my way up to pick Mac Jones. I was like, "I can't believe I got him, but I love it."
911 in your little white boots.
Yep, exact oh, the new boot goofing thing from Reno 911, that
Yeah,
was me.
that
Uh,
was that's
I
awesome.
no, I was just I don't know, I was just blown away with all the good people there, and I think I'm so new to this community, but it was just it's so fun to be able to put faces to names from, like, the Chicago live draft group chat we had and just to hear people's opinions about teams, but just not even football related, just talk with them, get to know them, and, make some friends in the area.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just a great time. I mean, I'm and it's funny, we haven't even started the actual fantasy football part, we just did the draft. We've still got a whole season to go,
oh, I
but,
know, it's so much fun, I can't wait. But, okay, here's the thing I was gonna say earlier, which to me is, like, the bittersweet part. The start of the football's on 9/11. I mean, I want to be really, really excited about football season starting, but then I feel really, really bad because it's like a national day of mourning. Do you know what I mean? So I'm
yeah,
like, what is happening? Like every 9/11, which shows I'm such a geek. I read the Dogs of 9/11 because I mean, why wouldn't I? It's like the greatest book ever. If you can find it, I think it's still out. You should get it because it tells you about all the dogs that went to all the dogs they had to get to go to the Pennsylvania site, the DC site, and then the New York site. And it's just the stories are just ridiculous. But don't think about the fact that all those dogs are dead now, because that's what I was thinking last year. Because they're so old. I mean,
yeah, no, no,
don't
they're still alive. That's just I know it's not true, but that's the kinda stuff I don't even wanna think about dead doggos. I'm just nope, they're still playing fetch somewhere.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like when the towers first fell in New York, no one knew what was happening, so they bought search and rescue dogs who
Yeah,
aren't ever dogs, and they were saying that dogs were getting depressed because they weren't doing what they thought they were supposed to do. They weren't doing their job. They weren't finding live
yeah.
bodies. So they would have firefighters hide so the dogs could find them, and they would be happy again because they were finding what they thought. I love dogs so much.
Oh, I know you do. I see all your retweets. It breaks my heart, though. I mean, right now, I my dog isn't with me. He's out in Colorado with my family, and huh?
I mean, go see him. Where's your dog?
He's in Grand Junction, the western side of the
Oh,
state.
go see him. That's way far away.
He's he's my baby. He's a golden retriever.
Oh, no.
No, I miss him. I knew with what I was working on with some of the
Right.
stuff I've got going, I was telling you about that I wasn't exercising him enough. I mean, he's about to be 3 and like that's my best friend, but I knew I wasn't exercising him as much as he deserved, so I asked my family to watch him and give him a yard because they take their dog out to the Colorado River at this national park every day where they sprint around off leash, climb up the mountain, jump in the river, swim around.
They have.
He's a mutt, he's a shelter dog,
Okay.
and,
My
That's usually what my family does, but I always wanted a golden, so I got him, but it just breaks my heart not having him, but at the same time, it's like, I needed to do it because I felt terrible that, I couldn't give him a yard to sniff around in or, give him all the exercise he wants and needs, and I know he misses me, I miss him, the cat misses him, they were best friends, but
oh,
they, I'll send you pictures of them cuddling.
oh,
Uh,
that's cool.
no, they, but, it's also that's my baby, and I want him to have the best life that he can have, so if in the short term I can't be with him, I have to make that sacrifice because he deserves a good, happy, healthy life, No dog should be cooped up like a cat, um, and especially a big dog like him, so I soon enough, someday I'll get a yard.
All right.
Oh, now I'm just sad. Now I'm
Oh,
gonna go look at pictures on my phone of my dog.
all right. You can look at my
No.
feed. It's almost all dogs.
You
Like there's
can yep. I'm always ready to see pictures of dogs. I mean, who doesn't like seeing cute, cuddly animals? And instead, I just have this animal right here that wants pets. At least she's not meowing while I'm trying to talk on a show. That's a first.
oh,
She usually wakes up right around the time I jump on something, and then she'll go out, either stand behind me or go in the living room and scream from the bottom of her lungs, just saying, "Hey, I want attention." So,
well, Mr.
yeah.
Scampers, who I've seen a couple times now. I'm not sure if that's his cat or am I actually talking to a cat, which would be awesome. But Mr. Scampers has like a really good looking cat as his um picture that
Here, I'll
I love.
show you. I'll
And
show you my pretty she doesn't like to be held, but this is Echo. Hey, I know it's not comfortable. Okay. Ah.
like, get me
She's
down.
like, "Why are you holding me? I was comfortable."
All right. So I think that for your rant today, that you should tell people what you're doing. Oh,
Should
oh, this,
I?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not up yet. I've been working on a site for a bit. Later this week, I plan to launch it. I mean, for going for 2, I've been doing the IDP rankings as part of the consensus. I've been part of the consensus redraft and dynasty rankings as well. And I do that for other sports as well. I've always had rankings. Like I said, I'm new to this community, but I always had rankings for redraft and dynasty and football, basketball, baseball in my own Google Sheets because I knew I had different valuations on guys. And I'm finally putting that to good use, and I've got my own site where, yeah, I'm gonna have rankings for all that, and then I'm starting a podcast and highlight videos of. I used to have a YouTube channel for gaming once upon a time, so I learned all these editing tricks and skills where now I can apply them to this. And yeah, no, I'm excited. That's it's. I
What's
think
the
it's
called?
balmanac.com. So
There we
Ballmanac. It's it's I haven't finished adding my stuff to the site, so it's really bare right now if you go, but in the next few days I'm gonna have my rankings up and then hoping Friday I'll do my first pod. But yeah,
keep it in mind, everyone. Say it again. Balmanac.
Balmanac, yeah. Balmanac.com. I don't know. I thought it was a good name. I thought it was creative. We'll see. I'm sure
It's
I'll get some feedback where it's like, oh, couldn't have come up with something better. But no, I'm excited. I mean, and worst case scenario, it's just an outlet for me to talk about other stuff that I want to talk about with sports because I know I'm so into all these other ones. I know when I join you guys, you don't want to hear about my baseball stuff, my Julio Rodriguez love. I'm glad to see him get some national attention because he's been a beast all year. He had
no,
a
whatever. I'll let
oh,
you should let him
but
win.
no, I mean, yeah, I've got stuff in the works and I'm excited.
Should
It's
be.
fun creating this stuff. I mean, I just like being a part of this community I didn't know exist. It's it's crazy how I've stumbled into it, but it's also just crazy how many great people I've met that I consider good friends over the past couple of months now. But now I'm hoping I can just keep going and yeah, just create content that I always enjoy reading. It's all it's about, I wanna make stuff I'm passionate about and stuff that I find interesting or that I enjoy consuming, and I wanna provide that for where content isn't being made and just, give p give the people, you know, s stuff give them content that isn't necessarily given a lot of attention. And I think, if you're speaking from the heart, if you believe it, you're passionate about it, I believe it shows in your work, and people can see that and they appreciate the content more. If I'm telling you Christian Watson's awesome and I believe it and I'm giving you all these reasons why, you can disagree with me, but if I'm giving all these elaborate answers and reasons why and not just backing out of it by the end, it's at least the route to getting to the point is more appreciated.
This is true. This is true. And we
But
appreciate you very, very
no,
much.
thank you for having me. I'm always glad to be here. No, I'm excited, but we'll see how it goes. Worst case scenario, it's just a good outlet to maintain a good mental health for myself, and just if no one reads it, I'm still going to keep posting stuff because yeah, I
There you go.
what I'm passionate about, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, that's the only reason I write is so that I can learn more. That's what you do. It's what you do. All right, everyone who stuck by, who's listening, thank you very much. We will be on actually again next week for Kyle, who is I think on a cruise or something like that. But tomorrow is Speak on It, I believe, with Danny.
Yep.
Is Tuesday. Wednesday is Jeff and Ryan, the Armchair Fantasy Show. Thursday is the Dynasty Gambit. Is that right?
Yeah. Unless yeah.
And then when does Bo show come on? Bo and Doc show.
That's a good question.
So
Um,
you know what you need to do, everyone. You need to go to Going for Two Live YouTube, subscribe, and then you'll have all the shows, and you won't have to worry about it. And with the season coming up, with the football season coming up, you're going to need every single show that we have because we're going to help you win your leagues, whatever league you might be in. Unless you're in the same league I'm in. Unless you're in the Scott Fishbowl with me, then we're not going to help you win.
you remind me of my Scott Fishbowl live draft. I was helping other people. I was competing against them, but I had people the at 2 different slots in the draft.
Yeah.
They wanted my honest opinion on who they should take in all these rounds, and while I'm competing against them, it's a charity league, and, if they wanna hear my insight as to what I think about these players and who I would take with who they already have and who's available there, I'm gonna give them the honest answer. As much as it might put me at a disadvantage, I would rather
Disadvantage? I don't think it would. Like,
you know what I mean? Like,
if people follow the articles, then they should be at an advantage because we're telling them what we think is the best place for them, and
yeah,
especially Sunday show, the start sit, and on DFS. But there's so much variation. There's
yeah.
so much that it doesn't put us at a disadvantage.
Yeah, but, I mean, I would still rather give an honest answer than something that would help me, because if they genuinely wanna hear my thoughts on what they should do,
That's
I
awesome.
would I would rather put myself behind than, give them some BS that, so I can get my guy that keeps falling, you know?
See, here's
Um,
my opinion on that. I think if someone asks me and I give them my honest answer and I still beat them, that's more awesome for me. Like, I'm telling you who to pick, and I'm telling you who I would pick if I were in your situation, but I'm still gonna beat you. So
I mean,
uh,
I like to feel I feel that way, but now it's funny, I know which picks I help these teams with, so
yeah,
now I've got my whole team I'm cheering for, but I've also got, 4 picks on this team and 3 on that team where I'm like, "Oh, I hope that works out." And now I'm almost more nervous, not about my team being bad, but
right.
about those picks, whether they succeed or not. Because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, I hope what the advice I gave them to help them make their team can come true."
That's like when I do the start sit articles during the season. That's the whole. I'm like, oh my god, I hope this guy works out. I hope he works out, even if I'm playing against him. Like a quarterback that I'm said start, and I'm playing another quarterback. I'm like, please score a lot of points. Please score a lot of points. Because
And
yeah, I
yeah,
want you to do well. I just don't want you to beat me. But I
and
want
no
you
one's
oh,
no one's right 100% of the time, but if I can at least give them a credible answer with
this
knowledge and, like,
this
reasoning
yeah,
and hope for the best. I mean, that's fantasy football. We all like to think we know, and we have facts, reasons, justifications for why we feel certain ways, but at the end of the day,
there's a reason why they call it fantasy.
yep,
I
there's a reason why I'm sitting in a chair in my office and not in a chair in a front office somewhere.
would never wanna do that. Can you imagine the pressure? I
That was
could
my dream that was my dream for a while. Yeah.
be a GM.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
But I think it's tricky because you don't realize as well how much is delegated because
And how much is
they have to manage so many, like, accounting and financial aspects as well as the team where they have people in, like, very specific departments that are for example, the G League. It seems like the G League roster, you would think it's the GM that puts all 15 guys there, but realistically, it's probably the head of, scouting or someone else they assign to that role to fill out the rest of it because they're busy with other stuff and maybe making a trade or focusing on more so the guys that'll actually be pertinent to the team that upcoming regular season.
okay.
No, I
Okay.
always found it so interesting, but I mean, yeah, it's there's so much to it where I feel like it doesn't get attention, and that's the kind of stuff I want to do deep dive articles about. Just the weird shit that you don't think about, or the reasons why things operate a certain way, and it's just because, well, usually things are more complicated than they seem with a lot of the sports stuff
That's with
or
everything.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanna say Gator_J and Dame Overboard and Jamie Rogue and Mr. Scampers. Thank you guys for joining in the chat, for listening. We hope to see you next week. We hope that you listen to Danny um, tomorrow on Speak on It. And I just want to like parental advisory: don't let your kids listen because they drop a lot of f bombs on that show. Like the first time I listened to it, I was like, "We're allowed to say that? We can do that? That's great!" But then there's no reason for me to do it today except for my snake on the plains.
I dropped a couple in there too.
Yeah, the snake on the plains quote, which it never gets old ever. Samuel L. Jackson has like some of the greatest lines ever. He just really does. And we will see you soon. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to end the stream now, or a little over time, but it's okay. It's okay because we enjoy talking with you, to you, and for you. We will see you next week on the 2 Point Conversion at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Where are you? You're in Central Time?
Yep, Central. Yeah.
P.M. Central Time and 10 p.m. East Coast. Everyone, thank you again. Bye.